Okay, and here we go. Good morning, everybody. I am Joanne Johnson, Executive Director for the Oconee County Chamber of Commerce, and this is the Chamber News. Thank you guys for tuning in this morning. Really excited this morning to have Dr. Michael Thorsland, the Superintendent for the Oconee County School District. Been anticipating this call, as I know that you have. We have a lot of questions for Dr. Thorsland. So first of all, let me welcome Dr. Michael Thorsland. How are you this morning?
I'm doing fine. Thank you for having me.
Well, we appreciate you. Now, as you know, I talked before this and I kind of sent you a few things that I might be asking you. I think one of the biggest questions is about graduation. Can you talk a little bit about what graduation might look like for our seniors?
I can. And that has been a priority for us because in American society, high school graduation is one of the big events that happen in your life. We don't want to just cancel graduation ceremonies. We want to try to honor the hard work that our seniors have been putting in for most of them the last 13 years in public schools. So it's very unlikely that graduation will happen on May 30th. However, we've selected a date in June and another date in July. June 20th and July 18th are those two dates. And we're just following the governor's restrictions day by day. But right now, we're tentatively leaning towards that June 20th date with a high school graduation ceremony in each of our 3 high school stadiums. We do know that we will not be able to use Little John Coliseum, but our backup plan is the high school stadiums, and we will practice social distancing as required and do the best we can to have as traditional a graduation ceremony as possible under these circumstances. The negatives that will probably occur as a result of the coronavirus would be that there could be limited numbers of tickets for each graduate because we need to keep social distancing in mind within the stadiums. And because of the summertime heat and the potential for afternoon rain and things like that, we will do the 3 ceremonies concurrently, probably at 8:30 in the morning to avoid the heat. And the potential for rain is much less during the summer in the morning than it is in the afternoon. So we'll probably do 8:30 ceremonies in each of our high school stadiums. And again, do the best we can to honor those seniors.
So as you're saying, we'll be abiding by the precautions. Is that going to be where people are sitting 6 feet apart and wearing masks? And how does that look?
Yes, those are all possibilities. Like I said, we're following the changing rules and the government restrictions day by day. So it could be that by June 20th that some of those social distancing guidelines have been relaxed. And if that's the case, then we'll certainly take advantage of that and try not to limit the number of attendees. But if the expectation is that for large group gatherings, you still have to practice social distancing and wear masks, then we will certainly employ those recommendations and try our best to enforce that. We will probably have family group areas. Each graduate would kind of get a family group area for 4, 5, 6 people, something like that. And then we would try to space out each family group within the stadium. We would have to ask for patience getting in and getting out. It would not be something that would be, what we're used to, where everybody just gets up and leaves at the same time. So it would certainly be a new experience, but it's important enough for us to try to have the face-to-face graduation because, like I said earlier, it's just kind of a rite of passage in American society, and we want to allow seniors to experience that.
Well, and we appreciate that because sadly, this is something that our seniors can't get back. Just like if you were a cheerleader this year or you were on a sports team, we can't give them those memories back. We can't. That experience is gone. And I know you guys are doing everything that you can, and I can see it in your face, Dr. Thorsland, the sadness that you have, the burden that you have. It's very clear. And I think that right now I just really need to say to everybody, we need to be praying for all of the people in the county, but also our schools and for Dr. Thorsland and all of the people within the school district, because I think a lot of us are looking at, wow, this is an inconvenience for us, and we have our kids home, and our teachers are so sad, and the superintendent and everyone that works for him, the school board, everyone is so saddened by this. And I know, Dr. Thorsland, I have to share with you one of the most touching things. I was getting a little bit teary when I was telling my husband about it this morning, but the principal for Seneca High School had done one of the automated calls that go out to everyone. And this was a few weeks back. And how we're all just sort of going along and doing our thing, and we're trying to get through this thing day by day. But the day that the call came through, well, I think for me was a turning point, and I'm sure it was for a lot of people, the authenticity that resonated through that phone line. But when she called and she's saying, this and this and this, and at the very end, she's anticipating that it's the parents that are listening to the phone call. And at the very end, she said, and students, if you can hear me, we miss you. And just the sadness in her voice was probably something I will never forget. And I think a lot of us maybe are not looking at this in terms of what it's doing to you and to all of the teachers. And you guys never got a chance to say goodbye to the students.
Mm-hmm. Education is a people business, and most of our employees are in education because they love people, love students. So this has definitely been a trying time, and our teachers want to see their students. They want to hug them and wish them well for the summer, and those things aren't going to be able to happen the way they would normally happen. So it's a difficult time for sure.
Absolutely. If we could, let's talk a little bit about the senior video projects. Can you speak about those?
Sure. We're still not 100% sure that we're going to be able to have graduations in a traditional way. We think we will, but we didn't want to cancel everything and have our seniors not have any of those memories from the spring of their senior year. So we contracted with 3 local vendors. It worked out kind of neat that the vendors we're using for this video project are each graduates of the school whose video they're producing. So that was kind of neat. But each senior is going to have up to 10 seconds to submit their own video, just of themselves. It could be in a cap and gown, or might be in some kind of uniform if they played a sport or band or something like that. But these videos will be compiled. There'll be a principal's message, maybe messages from some of the teachers, and then maybe even some of the graduation elements, speakers from the student body president or the valedictorian, salutatorian, things like that. And we're going to have hopefully very professional grade videos that we will provide to the students free of charge, just as a memory of their senior year, since much of their spring anyway has been canceled. So this will be something that we can give them to help them have a positive memory of their high school experience.
That is such a wonderful gift and a blessing. Thank you guys for doing that. And that leads me into the next question then. Is there a possibility that the graduation ceremonies could be videoed or live in some way so that everyone who is not in attendance can watch them at the same time?
Yeah, that's definitely something we're hoping to do, whether it be a YouTube channel or Facebook Live or something like that. But we definitely hope to live stream our graduation ceremonies, because most graduates have more than 4 or 5 people that want to be there. So grandparents or extended family and friends, that they'll be able to watch and still see their graduate walk across the stage.
Awesome. Well, let's move away from seniors for just a minute and talk about the school at large. We set up the hotspots with Northland. If you remember, we've got them at Shaver and Gentilette and, and the depot and all different places. If there are still some kids who have not even been able to utilize those, perhaps they don't have transportation to get to those areas, maybe they don't have internet at home. So what are we putting in place to help those who may be falling behind while they've been in homeschool right now?
Yeah, that's one of the most difficult things we've experienced during this closure is we knew going into it that if a student didn't have strong family support, that it was going to be really, really hard for us to educate that child during this closure. Because like it or not, parents and family are still the most important part of a child's education. And without that family support, it's almost impossible during a closure for us to reach children because we can't send people into homes to work with students. We have a very small number of students that have not been active. And we've had teachers and administrators, counselors at our schools reaching out to try to get all of our students to participate. But the differences were kind of exacerbated during this time between the students who have that strong family support network and the students who don't, because it is hard, particularly at the elementary school level. By the time a student gets to middle and high school, they're usually pretty self-sufficient and can get places and get internet access when they need it. But those elementary students without family support, this has been an extremely tough time.
And I think too, for the kiddos that are on IEPs and stuff, that's been a really big challenge because perhaps those parents are not equipped to meet those needs.
Yeah, for sure. And our special ed teachers have been working just like our regular ed teachers, trying to stay in contact with their students and teach them as best as possible under this circumstance. But like you say, it's difficult for particularly those with special needs and without the family support.
Mm-hmm. Do we have information yet on the summer feeding program?
Summer feeding will change somewhat. We anticipate continuing our current plan through the month of May, which means buses delivering to certain locations, all of our schools being pickup points. But seamless summer feeding is something that's been around for a number of years. So it's not really a new program just during the closure. It's been something that's been offered in the summer for a number of years. We will transition in June to more of the traditional seamless summer feeding. In the past, Sodexo, who is our food service provider, has offered food at the public libraries and different places. So we won't have the bus routes and the every school pickup starting in June, but there will be some type of summer feeding program. We're still working on the details and waiting for the state to give us more information about that.
Perfect. And in regard to the Chromebooks, now normally they would be handed in at the end of the year. Is that still going to be the case?
Yes and no. We're going to take up certain grade levels. We're going to try to take up Chromebooks for elementary school students, and then 8th graders and seniors. We will leave some with students over the summer. We just had a principals meeting at 9 o'clock this morning, a virtual principals meeting, where we talked about this. So we're still finalizing plans, but we should get information out to families in the coming days that would give them more detail about how they would turn in materials, whether it be a Chromebook or textbooks, anything else they have that won't be needed over the summer. And also, as well as turning things in, we'll need to allow students to pick some things up. Some of our students might have left a jacket at school because they left on a Friday not knowing they weren't going to be back on Monday. And yearbooks for high school students, particularly seniors, they'll need to pick up cords for graduation and different things like that. So we'll be working with families to organize both drop-off and pickups. Those will probably take place the last 2 weeks of May.
And if we circle back just for a minute to the kiddos who maybe got behind a little bit, will there be some sort of an extension put into place and maybe not only an extension in regard to their education, but also with the Chromebook so they can maybe catch up? Or will there be even some sort of tutoring available, extra tutoring or something to help them so they're ready for the following year?
Ms. Simmons, our Assistant Superintendent for Instruction, has a meeting with state officials tomorrow, and one of the topics for that meeting will be summer programs. That is a possibility. We don't have all the details on that yet because, again, that would be determined somewhat by any restrictions that are still in place. So we hope to learn more about that in the coming days, and then, of course, we'll share that information with our families.
Very good. In regard to registration, so if we're looking at maybe pushing the graduations out, you said till June and July, what does that do and how does that affect the registration for the coming year?
The good thing is much of our registration process is through the internet now. So we'll still allow students to register. Most of our middle and high school students who select classes, most of that was in process before the closure. Our counselors have been meeting with families virtually through phone calls or meetings such as this and finalizing course selections. So we feel like we'll be in good shape for the fall just through our phones and computer meetings.
Excellent. And are we not looking at pushing out the start date? We're going business as usual, we think, as of right now, as far as the fall semester. Is that right?
That's our hope. You know, we're taking that day by day, just like everything else. But our intention would be to start August 10th, which is what our school calendar calls for.
Do you know, Dr. Thorsland, if this affected any of the dual enrollment courses?
I do not believe that it affected them any more than it affected any other classes. I believe Tri-County Tech is the college that we do the majority of our dual credit through, and they went to an online environment much the same as we did, and they're still giving grades. And you know, I don't think there's going to be a negative effect.
I'd love to know your thoughts about all of this. And I know you and I talked about this prior to our conversation, but what are some words of encouragement maybe that you have for your staff, for the teachers, for the students, and what can we do to help you right now?
Yeah, I think certainly just understanding that this is a new experience for everyone involved. And I guess I'd speak to several different groups of people. First, to our staff. Our teachers were called upon to learn something new and still try to teach students during this time, and they've done an outstanding job. Our faculty and staff with the school district has really taken this challenge head on, and I feel very, very positive about the way the school district of Oconee County responded to this difficulty. I feel like while difficult and while not perfect, I think our school district performed as well as can be imagined during this, and that's because we have dedicated and talented employees. So I'm very thankful to them. To our students, much like you cited earlier in Ms. Leroy's message, we do miss you. We miss having you in school. We miss seeing you. You're very important to us, and we're anxious to see you next fall. We hope that we'll be back to business as usual. And then I guess the last group I'd want to address is parents. Our mission statement in the school district is that we partner with families to educate students. That's kind of a paraphrase, but at no time has that been more evident than now, because parents have been called on to do tremendously difficult work. Many of them still working a full day, and then they get home and they have to assist their children with their studies. You know, particularly those with young children, it's been a very, very difficult time. So thank you for putting in that effort to assist our teachers. When our teachers are just talking to students through a computer screen or through sending messages, it calls on parents to be the hands and feet and often the voices for their teachers. So thank you for that work. Like I said earlier, we hope that we can get back to business as usual in August, and that this can be a memory for us.
Dr. Thorsland, Superintendent for the Oconee County School District, we thank you, we appreciate you, and thank you for those kind words to everyone. I think it's so important that they got to see you today and hear from you. Please come back soon, and we'll hopefully continue to do updates as we move forward through the summer and through the coming year. Anything, if there's questions for Dr. Thorsland, please let us know. As always, these interviews will be placed on the Oconee County Chamber's website within the half hour, and they'll also be placed on social media. So if there's some information that you needed that maybe we kind of glazed over and you want to hear it again, you will have that opportunity in just a few minutes. Again, Dr. Thorsland, thank you to you and the staff and the teachers and everyone who is working diligently and tirelessly through this process. Again, we keep saying this is unprecedented. You guys are doing an amazing job, and we hope to see you guys soon.
Thank you for the opportunity.
You're welcome. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you soon.